and welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua. I'm the content director of Whole Foods Magazine, and I'm here with my co-host Todd Polly. Hi, Todd.
Hey Maggie, good to see you.
Good to see you as always. And we have a special guest today. Please welcome Julie Dennis. She's the national educator for NutraNext, the portfolio, and she's here to talk about a legacy brand that we're familiar with, but we're going to dive in, get to know them more, and find out what they have coming up. We're going to look at some 2026 trends, see what's going on in the industry. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
having
Julie.
me. What an honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, great to have you. So I want to dive in and talk about Rainbow Light. Founded back in 1981, just a pioneer in the industry. So many great products. Can you talk to us about the vision behind the brand? Something great, obviously, that's led to so much success, we know.
Just incredible. And what a great question. As you mentioned, we launched in 1981, and this was at a time when the industry was so different. For those of us that have been around a while, we've seen all of these changes. Now, back in 1981, when Rainbow Light launched in Santa Cruz, California, beautiful Santa Cruz, California, what we were mostly seeing in the natural products industry in dietary supplements were single ingredient supplements, and very, very few of them. In fact, it was vitamin C, maybe some zinc lozenges. The formulations were very simple, like calcium and magnesium or the B complex. Those were revolutionary for the time. And then Rainbow Light came out. We saw this need for a more comprehensive approach to supplementation that was rooted in real food nutrients. Not only the superfoods that we see today, like spirulina, but also kale, spinach, carrots, these things that we were not necessarily getting in abundance in our diets, but we need not only for nutritional support, but also when you take a Rainbow Light supplement that's loaded with these food based ingredients, you are feeling the effects of your body finally getting the nutrition it needs, and it provides digestive support. We always add digestive support in some fashion. The food base, of course, which could be spirulina, chlorella, the whole foods, herbs, and as well, we include probiotics, we include enzymes, all of that to help support digestion overall, and also to help support digestion of the supplement. So we came out in 1981. It was a revolution of our food based products. We still stand by that formulating philosophy of providing supplements with whole foods, digestive support, and nutrients for a comprehensive approach to supplementation. And as I mentioned, it was revolutionary at the time. And we continue with the revolution with our innovative formulations all of these decades later.
Hearing Rainbow Light having been on that journey for so long, I'm wondering, what exactly was that very first product they came out with?
Incredible. And still one of my favorites. In fact, it was spirulina. Now, spirulina, the superfood category, there was not even a superfood category at that point in 1981. That term hadn't even been developed for dietary supplements at all. The superfood term came out many, many years later, but we discovered this ingredient, this spirulina, that is so nutrient dense. In fact, I have a jar of spirulina. I love it so much. And when you look at spirulina, that super rich green, basically you see all the colors of the rainbow when you look at spirulina under a high-powered microscope. So that represents the rainbow of nutrition found within this nutrient-dense superfood. And not only does it provide part of the superfood base that we still use today, but also that's where our name comes from. Spirulina, looking at spirulina under a high-powered microscope, like I mentioned, you see all the colors of the rainbow. And therefore, the name Rainbow Light and the product launch, and we have not looked back since. It's been quite a journey all these decades later.
That's so cool. I had no idea about the origin of the name. I've never even kind of thought about it, but that's really interesting. I love that. And I'm thinking back to when I entered the industry too. Like I've been taking my vitamins, the basics, but spirulina was the first thing that it was at Whole Foods magazine, and I don't know if it was Howie or Heather or somebody was like, "Yeah, you got to get your green powder and your spirulina." So that was one of the
Right?
first kind of branching out supplements that I took when I was new to the industry. So,
Yeah,
wow, that's cool.
and it's still, if I had to flee to a desert island or deserted island even, I would grab my spirulina. I love it that much. And that's one of the reasons why people actually feel the results and the effects when they take a Rainbow Light product, because we're filling the nutritional gaps. We're not getting our 7 to 9 servings of vegetables a day like we should. Even those of us in the industry are not getting all of the nutrition we need. So when we take a Rainbow Light supplement with the food base so rich in nutrients, we feel the effects. Often we hear people say, I'm taking my supplements. I don't know if they're working. I don't feel anything. That's not the case with a Rainbow Light supplement. You actually feel the effects of the health benefits that you're getting from the nutrients and the whole food base.
That's another like such a key thing. You're taking all your vitamins, but your digestion and you're not dealing with the absorption and making sure your body can handle it. Then what are you doing? So
Right?
yeah, so great concept there. So it was 1984 then that Rainbow Light introduced the first food-based products, right? So you kind of talked
Yes.
about how that was groundbreaking, but maybe you can go into a little bit more about kind of the shift change that helped spark in the industry, because now we're certainly more advanced than those just your vitamin C and just your B vitamins.
So incredible the distance we have come since then. And that's when I started in the industry as a 15-year-old. So I know firsthand, working in a health food store at the age of 15, what we had at that time. There were bulk bins with rice and beans, and you may not be old enough to remember the textured vegetable protein, just some really interesting offerings back then, but certainly not what we see today. In the 70s and 80s, it was small local mom and pop stores, the brick and mortars that we still love so much, that those that remain. And then in the 80s and early 90s, we started to see uh, just beloved regional chains like Gooch's. Mrs. Gooch's came out. I was just living a couple blocks from it. It was like Mecca had emerged when these
Yeah.
superstar stores started to emerge. Mrs. Gooch's, Alfalfa's, Wild Oats, the emergence of Whole Foods, the consolidation of distributors, and it was no longer just the local produce. It was no longer local hand deliveries. It really started to grow immeasurably in the 90s, particularly. But back in 1981, before all this that we see today, Rainbow Light came out with food based nutrition, food based dietary supplements. The revolution had begun at that moment that we launched these formulations that were so comprehensive and still are, and we still reformulate, reflecting the most up to date research and science. But back then, it was the revolution. And Rainbow Light launched that revolution with food based products, the food based multis, in fact. And we continue, of course, like I mentioned, reformulating, reflecting the original research, the not the original research, the most emerging research, but we don't lose sight of our roots. We still understand and embrace whole food nutrition, botanicals from all over the world, from traditions like traditional Chinese herbalism and now Ayurveda, traditional European and American herbalism. We still embrace our historic roots because they're valuable and valid, but we continue to reformulate to, like I say, reflect not only the research, but what consumers are seeking. So 1981, it was a whole different world, and there we were.
Yeah, that's excellent. And speaking of revolutionary moments in the natural products industry, in '89, you released the first food-based prenatal product, and I'm wondering what prompted you to come to that category so early, and just tell me a little bit about the product and the process of doing that.
That's a great question. The prenatals were still renowned and beloved for the prenatal products that we launched back then and continue to produce and innovate with. The prenatals is one of our most beloved categories by consumers, not only nationwide, but worldwide. We early on in the early 80s realized that of all the communities that needed extra nutrition, digestive support, nutraceuticals, we recognize that prenatal women really needed that support that wasn't being offered to them. They were hungry and still are for many reasons, but they were hungry for supplements, particularly multivitamins, that they could take without digestive upset, for one, that they could tolerate the smell of. I don't know if you've ever been pregnant. I know, Todd, you haven't,
I
but
haven't. I've been close to someone who has, and I
okay,
know some of those triggers as far as
it's
nausea goes.
right. And when you open up a supplement as a pregnant woman and you're smelling it, first off, if that smell is abhorrent to you, then you're not going to take that supplement. So we made sure that even down to the smell, we made it amenable and digestible by pregnant women who really need that nutrition, who really need the digestive support. We add a little peppermint. So when you open that jar, you get that beautiful waft of the essential oil of peppermint. We add ginger for digestive support. We have the nutrients that pregnant women need and the botanicals that are going to help support a healthy pregnancy and even postnatally, a healthy postnatal woman and baby.
Excellent. I love that with the smell because, yeah, I could totally relate to that. You're triggering memories. So you mentioned the food-based multivitamins. That was also in the 80s that was launched, and you talked about the science, new science, and how that informs formulations. Can you talk kind of about that food-based multivitamin category and how it's evolved since the late
Oh,
80s when you guys got into that?
since 1981, of course, we've evolved. The category has evolved, and we continue to respond to consumers' needs. Now, the food based, particularly the food based multis, goes beyond the one a day. Of course, we have the iconic women's one, men's one, and prenatal ones, very popular after all these decades. And we respond to, for example, we have an active teen for teenagers that more than anybody probably are not getting the 7 to 9 servings of vegetables a day and all the nutrition they need. So, certainly with teenagers and the teen multi, we provide that nutrition. We make it easy for them to digest. We make it easy for them to use. And we also include a derma complex to help with skin and to keep skin clear and fresh. So, certainly going beyond the multis that are renowned for all these decades and now reflecting a broader consumer base. Certainly, there are more consumers today than then using supplements, active senior multi, postnatal multi, the active teen, and so many more. So we've broadened that offering by reflecting and responding to what the consumers need and are asking for. That's we're renowned for that. So it certainly is an honor to continue this legacy of providing these innovative products and not just stagnating back in the 80s, which we've never done, but continuing to move forward and innovate and progress as the industry progresses and as we learn more about our consumers.
Great. I want to switch gears for just a second. Let's talk about NutraNext. I know you've recently surpassed your first year anniversary of being family owned. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about some of the changes that occurred within that process.
It's massive. is groundbreaking. As a fan of Rainbow Light, I worked for Rainbow Light in the early 90s as their national educator. And I courted Rainbow Light for about 7 years before I actually started working for them, because I could see the finesse that goes into the formulations. I became a fan in the 90s. They eventually hired me back in the 90s, and I'm still a fan for that reason and so many more. So what happened was, along the way, over all these decades, the ownership of Rainbow Light changed hands several times. And we are proud to say that as of this fall of 2025, we have acquired Rainbow Light and these legacy brands, NeoCell, Natural Vitality, Renew Life, from Clorox. Clorox had ownership over these brands, these legacy brands. And at the end of 2024, a family owned ownership now. We have been acquired by the Rudolph family. Now, the Rudolph family, for those that don't know, but most of your listeners are going to know the Rudolph family, started with the patriarch, Arthur Rudolph, back over 50 years ago in 1971. Arthur started manufacturing dietary supplements in 1971. And now at the helm is his son and grandson, Michael and Scott Rudolph, who have continued this legacy, dedicated to purity, potency, consistency, support of natural product stores. This really is a watershed moment for Rainbow Light. And as a fan, I am so proud to be here in this moment of its trajectory, of its history, to be back into the hands of a family that has been committed to the natural products industry, the natural product stores, for over 50 years. So it really, like I say, is just a watershed moment for Rainbow Light. And again, just committed to reliable, responsive. We're invested in the retailers. We're invested in to continue bringing the finest in innovation and product formulations for their consumers and their profits as well. Let's be honest, because we have everything in house, we are able to keep our costs down. So it's just a win-win for the retailers, for the consumer, for the legacy brand that is Rainbow Light.
I
And
love that so much. I love that family owned, coming back to that, and the support of the retailer, which, at Whole Foods Magazine, that's such our focus. So amazing. I love it. I love how it's come back around to the industry and to the family owned. And I think, that's something that bodes well, kind of for the industry overall, too. So fantastic. Love it.
yeah.
So you mentioned the purity and the quality. We know that consumers are more tuned in than ever, looking for that transparency, really caring about, the ingredients and the clean aspects of it. So can you talk a little bit about Rainbow Light and how the company works to ensure that purity, the quality, and the safety of the products?
That's the bottom line. And the bottom line of the bottom line is it all starts with the best ingredients. And after 50 plus years of being in this industry manufacturing supplements, we have deep relationships with our raw material suppliers. The best products start with the best ingredients. So we partner with trusted raw material suppliers. We're able to test those ingredients in our own labs. We have, along every step of the way, we test and test again, even after it's tested, before it ships to the retailers and to the consumers. We test one last time in our certified, pristine, GMP certified facility. We have formulators who are nutritionists, scientists, and they're bringing now that I'm internal with the company, it's been about 5 months now, and I am telling you, the people I am working with, my peers at this company, primarily have been dedicated for decades, like I have, like the founders have, And we are all passionate about making sure that we're transparent. We lift the lid, we test along the way. We start with the finest ingredients in our CGMP certified facility and then test again. So it really is a comprehensive approach, not just to formulation, but to making sure that what's on the label is in the bottle and those ingredients are the best available. That's why they're efficacious.
Yeah, that's excellent. Julie, you've mentioned innovation a number of times in this conversation, which I think is really important given the fact that, the long history as well. And the fact that you've been able to innovate through all of these years, all of these decades is amazing. And I wonder if you want to talk a little bit about innovation through the light of new products. Can you talk about
Certainly.
some of your recent product launches and how you're innovating in that way today?
One of my favorites is the daily probiotic and prebiotic powder. First off, it's in powder form. I do take supplements, obviously. So when I could get them in an alternative delivery system, I'm going to do that. I do love the probiotics. I've been taking them since I was a teenager, back when they were the liquid acidophilus in the refrigerator. It came in 2 flavors, and that was it. So now we know so much more, so we could do so much more. It's got the 30 diverse strains. It has over 20 billion CFUs. It's a great combination in a powder form. And it has one of the most researched, the Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG, which has shown not just to support immune health, digestive health, but also mood health, working through the vagus nerve to help modulate our mood. So I'm loving that. And of course, like most of our products, we stay away from the common allergens: wheat, soy, the nuts, the gluten, the milk. So it's applicable for many people, especially those that like the alternative delivery systems, that want to get a probiotic and a prebiotic. More and more consumers are recognizing the need to not just take a probiotic, but also to look at what the prebiotics are and how we can support our systems, our variety of systems internally with the prebiotics. So it's that blend. I also love, I'm a big fan of the mushrooms, like many people are. Rainbow Light has now the 10 mushroom complex. It has 1,200 milligrams of mushroom power in 10 different mushrooms. And the innovation here is that it includes the whole life cycle of the mushroom, from the primordia, the mycelia, and the fruiting body, providing a really comprehensive approach to mushroom supplementation. 1,200 milligrams of 10 diverse mushrooms, the full life cycle of the mushroom. These are just examples of what we're coming out with. And because we do everything in house, we've been doing this a long time, over 5 decades, we can respond quickly and innovatively as the market changes. So we just recently, for example, came out with a creatine product, and the creatine is easily digestible. It responds to consumers' needs for glucose balance beyond the bodybuilding segment. So it really is fantastic that we can pivot so quickly and reformulate so quickly and come out with these new products with our long-standing relationships with our suppliers, with our in-house of everything from our lab to our facility of manufacturing. It really is wonderful to see such emergence of these products in the short time that I've been here. In fact, just 5 months
Yeah, that's
back
some
with
good
Rainbow
stuff.
Light.
That creatine, we've been hearing about it. I started taking it daily. So many people, so many
Yeah,
women that I know are now like, yep, taking that, learning how much I need it, which you didn't know, 5 years ago. So that's
right.
amazing. So
Just
I'm currently bundled up in my sweater because it's getting freezing in New Jersey. So I want to talk about looking ahead. We have sniffle season coming up. How is Rainbow Light kind of preparing for that, and anything for the retailers to know about what you guys have going on in that category.
Yes, it's very exciting. We relaunched Counterattack. Counterattack, when it first launched in the 90s, instantly became a fan favorite. Very comprehensive approach to helping support immune health exactly in those acute moments when needed. So counterattack, it's got everything from andrographis to echinacea to golden seal, some of the classics to help support immune health in a very rapid fire way. It digests rapidly. We feel the effects quite immediately, and it's there when needed. It's not one of those that you take long term. We have those as well, but I am already seeing in the few months that we have relaunched this fan favorite, it start to take off once again like wildfire, like it did originally, because people are actually, like I mentioned earlier, feeling the effects of the Rainbow Light products that they're taking because we support digestion. We put in the whole food base, so you're getting some nutrition, some digestive support. The tablets are breaking down rapidly, and you're getting the effects of those herbal extracts. And it's not just whole herbs. We do use a lot of the herbal extracts. When you're looking at a Rainbow Light supplement, you'll see extract, andrographis extract, echinacea extract, coptis extract. And what that means is that you're not just getting the herb ground up. That ground up herb has a lot of fiber, perhaps not a lot of medicinal value. What you're getting is that herb is extracted in a menstruum, typically some sort of alcohol. It's extracted in that menstruum, and then you're getting just that potency that you need from that plant, and not all the fiber and the things that are eventually discarded in this sort of formulation. You're getting the very essence of what that plant is going to provide. So when you look at a Rainbow Light product, we take those extra steps. For example, using extracts and not just ground up, it's like picture a tea bag with green tea. Are you really going to just chew up those tea leaves? No, you're going to put it in water. You're going to extract the value out of that plant, and you're going to drink that herbal potency in that liquid. We add those extracts. So counterattack is back, and it's it's once again rising in the ranks of popularity as it should be. So I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled to see these things coming back.
That's really great. First of all, we have to talk about the name counterattack. When I'm going through cold and flu season, I really want something that sounds like it's seen some stuff and come out on top. And I wish I had it earlier, but I'm gonna seek it out now. That's really cool. I, I can see why it's a fan favorite.
Yeah. And it's combining the various different traditions herbally, from Ayurveda from India, traditional Chinese herbalism, American herbalism, traditional European herbalism, taking the best of all those worlds and traditions and combining it into the product, which we do with all of our products.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so you've also mentioned food-based supplementation quite a bit, and you were obviously one of the first to the game as far as food-based supplementation goes. So can you give us a little perspective of how it's evolved from the early 80s and where we are today?
Wow. Well, a lot of people are recognizing the need for more nutrition in their diets. So more and more people are turning to supplements to make sure they're getting that nutrition in their diets. Certainly the food-based category has blown up. We're not the only ones adding whole foods to the products, to the supplements, but we are one of the few, if not the only, who are doing it with the finesse that I see, with the fine tuning in the formulations. So although you may see a lot of others putting a little of this and a little of that in there, we're very targeted in our approach to what food base, what herbs, what digestive support we put into the food base. So although It's now all over the map and in every store and perhaps even gas stations, some sort of, protein drink infused with whey protein. There's a lot of nutritious foods out there and supplements, but the fine tuning is where we make the difference with the scientists, the nutritionists, the researchers we have on staff to continue offering that sort of finesse in formulation that only Rainbow Light, from what I could see, can do in the way that we do it. Very comprehensive approach and targeted to each particular audience that we're serving: teens, seniors, pregnant women, men, middle-aged folks, 50 plus. So uh, although it has blown up in our industry, in our world, it really is our passion behind each product that you see and feel when you take a Rainbow Light product.
That's excellent. You can hear it in your voice too, like it's, you see the authenticity, and I love that. And I wanted to ask you, so we'll break out the crystal ball to wrap things up here. Now, you told us since you were 15 in a health food store, that's amazing. You have really been committed to this industry. So you've seen a lot of those gas station trends come and go. You've seen some nonsense, and you've seen some serious quality and innovation. So looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of wellness and the supplement space?
Oh, interesting question. What excites me most? Well, one thing that excites me consistently through the years is more and more people embracing supplementation for health and well being. I feel like the more the merrier. The more people we could serve, the healthier they're gonna be, the healthier our world is going to be. So that fundamentally is what drives me. What excites me most about Rainbow Light is that we continue to innovate. We continue to offer the formulations that I've known and loved since the early 90s, that I worked with back then and I'm so proud of to work with today, and working with the Rudolph family and my peers. I am very excited for Rainbow Light in this watershed moment, that we could continue moving forward with the legacy that we are, continuing to add to that history and provide the consumers with the health supporting supplements that we and they need. It's fundamental to what we do, providing health, supporting health, to our neighbors, to our families, to our friends, to our community. That's what we do here. That's what I've done in my career, and it's a exciting moment to be alive and to be part of this incredible industry and incredible company, and to be representing Rainbow Light.
Well said.
All right. Yeah, we love to hear it. And I know that you'll keep us informed as new innovations come out, more company news. We'll share it in Whole Foods Magazine. But it has been great to connect with you, learn this really interesting history about the company, and just really, yeah, take some kind of memory road and see how things have grown. Like the company itself shows this trajectory of the whole industry, which is very cool. So thank you for getting us up to speed.
Thank you so much. My honor and pleasure to be here.